Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, I'm going to be telling you guys about 20 things you need to know before you buy any of the 6 brand new vehicles that were added in the Diamond Casino and Resort update. All the vehicles on Legendary Motorsports site like the Thrax and the ATR R, and even the ones on the Southern San Andreas Super Sports site too, like the ISI Sport and the Caracara. We're going to be going over some cool quirks, features, hidden things you might not have known about these cars, and some things you just want to know before you end up purchasing them. So let's begin with the Anis ATR R. This track race car supercar is really fun. The first thing that's kind of interesting is you can actually remove all of the doors, the trunk cover, the engine cover. It reminds me of what you can do to the trophy truck that was added in the Cunning Stunts update back in 2016, and how you can make this vehicle look way more minimalistic. Obviously, this is just me knocking off everything, but it does look rather interesting, that's for sure. The fact that it exposes, both ends of the car, and the fact that there's so little left, it just looks really funny. So that's the first thing you can do. The next interesting thing you need to know about this vehicle is you actually can't change the color of the stock rims. And this is important because the tires on the ATR R are actually unique. Like they're race car tires. Like you'll notice that they almost have no tread, and that's done intentionally because those are more typical of the tires you would use on a racetrack. So it's unfortunate that if you want to keep those stock tires, you have to get stuck with the stock rims, which are like this cream white color, and there's nothing you can do to change them. Now, some other fun things that you should do with this vehicle is after you put on your livery, you should go back and start adding other customization options. Like, for example, adding this rear arch cover right here, you can see that the Jakey Lager logo is put on the back, whereas I didn't know that any of the liveries were put on there when I just did that by default. Same with the big spoiler on the back. There's a lot of times where the liveries will take place on the spoiler and even the painted roof strip as well. So just play around with a lot of the customization before you write them off, because the liveries might make them look a whole lot better and you might enjoy using them. Now, the final thing that's interesting with this vehicle is the fact that on the Legendary Motorsports side, it's listed as a 2-seater vehicle, when in fact it is the only supercar in the game that is now a 1-seater. That's right, no passengers in this vehicle, you're in there by yourself. Now, why Rockstar have it listed as a 2-seater on the website, it's probably just an error on their end, but that was something interesting that I noticed. Let's move on now to the Weenie ISI Sport. The first thing that I found on this vehicle to be interesting is in the bumper option, every other option beside from the stock grille will replace the headlights on the front, and they'll replace it with this LTD sort of badge. Now, why it's LTD, I'm not sure, but you can see every option replaces it with that. Now, I thought that changing the livery might end up altering the LTD stickers there, but apparently that is not the case. They always remain. Now, just like with the Anis ATR R, a lot of the customization options on the ISI Sport will be affected by the livery. So again, play around with the spoiler, play around with the roof strip, play around with all the customization options, and then modify your livery to see if you want to keep it or not. Now, as far as the wheels on this vehicle go, they are actually not unique. You can find the identical copy of them in the sports wheels. They are Dash VIP. So if you don't want to mess around with the iFruit app in terms of changing these vehicles' rims, you just go to Dash VIP and then you can select any color that you want. So that right there is something nice that you can do with this vehicle. Now, remember that grille option we talked about earlier? If you upgrade it, it puts these LTD bumper stickers on there. Well, it turns out that that really doesn't matter anyways, because even if you have the normal grille option there with the headlights, they don't work. So for whatever reason, Rockstar decided to make them just for show, because they actually don't do anything, even if you have that option upgraded. So that's kind of interesting right there. That's everything I noticed on the ISI Sport. Let's move on to the Vapid Caracara 4x4, and one of the few things I noticed about this vehicle is there's no spoiler option. However, there is an option to upgrade your traction, like it does have a spoiler. And for that, you need to go to roof racks. So you can see there that anytime we change one of the roof racks, we get a tiny increase in traction. So I don't know how many of you guys are going to be using this in a racing environment, but even for casual off-roading, it is better to have just slightly more traction. So if you're looking for the best overall performance, you're going to need to put one of these racks or sports bars on the back of the Vapid Caracara 4x4. Now, one thing I was kind of disappointed about with this vehicle is the fact that you can't change the color of the stock rims. So the stock wheels, tires, and rims on the Vapid Caracara fit it really well since it's a pretty big lifted truck. When you actually choose another set of rims, like, for example, off-road, the tires get much smaller. And in my opinion, it looks a little bit awkward on this truck. But let's say you didn't necessarily want to have black as your rims. Well, unfortunately, if you want the stock tires, you're stuck with those black rims as there's no way to change the color. It's a little bit unfortunate as I thought you could have a lot of fun with the colors, maybe going with like a red or a white or even doing something like chrome if you want it. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like that is an option. So that's everything I noticed on the Vapid Caracara. Let's move on now to the Truffaut Thrax. As I've mentioned in previous videos, the Thrax has a custom set of rims that can be changed with the iFruit app. I have actually made mine black right now to sort of go with the black and blue color scheme. However, if you're wondering how the Truffaut T logo in the center changes, that is done by altering the primary color. So as you guys can see there, when we change the primary color, it is affected as well. Now, just like some of the previous cars we've looked at, the liveries will have some unique modifications to some of the extra upgrades that you can put on these cars. Like, for example, the side panel on the Thrax, some of these liveries will have an impact on that, where they will add extra livery spaces and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Like, for example, in this Crow X one, you can actually see that there is a watch put on the side. That's kind of cool. I've never noticed that before. And on another one, which is called Decoche or Decoche, I don't know how you pronounce it, everything looks pretty normal, but there's a cool change that it does to the engine block. It actually makes it the colors of the Italian flag, which is a green, white, and red. So why they decided to do that for this specific livery only, I'm not sure. Maybe it has to do with the Pizza This sponsorship on the side. But either way, that's just a couple of cool changes that I noticed about the Thrax as well. Let's move on to the Paragon R now. One of the first few things I noticed with this vehicle is the secondary color actually has an impact on the inside of the car. It sort of changes the stitching that you see around the seats. So that's a cool little upgrade right there. The next thing that's, I think, unfortunate is the only way in which you can get a different set of seats in the Paragon R is if you add a roll cage. So there's 5 different types of seats: carbon, sports, performance, race, and drag. But the only way to get those seats is if you put a roll cage in there, which I don't think looks all that great. So unfortunately, I am just going to stay with the stock seats because I didn't want the roll cage in my car. And if you're also wondering if we can change the color of the stock rims on the Paragon R, unfortunately, the answer is no. I tried to do that as well, and it did not work. So you are kind of stuck with the sort of alloy look if you want those stock rims on the Paragon R. Now, the final thing that actually took me a while to figure out and was bothering me for a bit, you notice the Anus logo on the back. That, for the longest time to me, always looked like a bullet hole. I was wondering, why does my Paragon R have a bullet hole in the back of it? Turns out, no, it's just the Anus logo. I don't know if it's just the current livery I have it paired with or if it just really does look like a bullet hole, but that seems to drive me nuts on this car, that it always looks like someone has shot up the back of my vehicle. But either way, those are some things I noticed about the Paragon R. Now, if you guys are interested in the armored version of this vehicle, I'll leave a link in the description to a video I did a couple of days ago. That vehicle has so many in-depth things that we had to test. I needed to do it individually in its own video, so I will leave a link to that in the description. Now, the final vehicle we're going to be checking out today is the Obey 8F Drafter. And the first thing I noticed on this vehicle is one of the liveries looks like it was taken straight from Need for Speed, which is really cool and something we've seen in the past where Rockstar has done pop culture references. It's the one called Racing the Edge with sort of these like blue back stripes. Looks pretty cool in my opinion. Again, it literally comes straight from Need for Speed. If you've ever played one of those racing games, you'll know that livery. Just like a lot of the other liveries we've looked at today, modifying extra parts of the car like the spoiler and other options will lead to some extra things that you can see on the livery. So just keep that in mind before ultimately making your final decision. Also, the secondary color, just like some of the other cars we've looked at, changes the stitching on the inside. So although you can't change the interior color of this car, you can modify the stitching to a degree. And if you are wondering, yes, the 8F Drafter does have a custom set of rims, and you can see that I have changed the color there to blue. But just to show you that you can modify these rims, you can alter them with the iFruit app, and I just wanted to change them to all black. And you can see that I have successfully done that as well. But anyways, that right there is 20 things you need to know before you end up buying all 6 of the brand new vehicles added so far in the Diamond Casino and Resort update. We know there's going to be a handful of vehicles added over the next couple of weeks and months, but at least for right now, these are all of the new ones that are available, and some, again, things you might want to be aware about before you end up spending millions of dollars on each car. Let me know in the comments down below which of these vehicles is your favorite. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And remember to subscribe if you guys are new or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA 5 casino news, videos, and more. And of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.